In the quiet moments between ambition and reality, there exists a hidden landscape of potential, a realm where your most audacious financial dreams are not merely wishful thinking, but precise executable blueprints waiting to be activated. Every individual carries within them an extraordinary blueprint of prosperity, yet most remain unaware of the intricate psychological mechanisms that either constrain or liberate their financial destiny. Consider for a moment how deeply ingrained patterns of thinking and feeling have silently choreographed your relationship with money. These patterns are not random. They are sophisticated psychological algorithms developed through years of experiences, inherited beliefs, and unconscious programming. They operate beneath the surface of conscious awareness, shaping decisions, triggering emotional responses, and ultimately determining the trajectory of your economic life. What if you could decode these internal scripts? What if you possessed the ability to recognize, challenge, and fundamentally redesign the unconscious narratives that have been subtly dictating your financial reality? The journey we are about to explore is not about simplistic motivational rhetoric or superficial success strategies. This is a profound expedition into the psychological architecture of wealth creation, a transformative pathway that begins precisely where most financial guidance concludes, within the intricate landscape of your inner world. Imagine a methodology that goes beyond traditional financial advice, one that acknowledges money as more than a transactional tool, seeing it instead as an energetic expression of your deepest beliefs, fears, and aspirations. Your current financial state is not a result of external circumstances, but a direct reflection of your internal psychological ecosystem. Every hesitation, every moment of scarcity thinking, every unconscious block represents a profound communication from your subconscious mind. The paradigm we will unravel together transcends conventional wisdom. We are not merely discussing financial strategies, but exploring a revolutionary approach to understanding how psychological patterns create economic realities. This is about recognizing that your relationship with money is fundamentally a relationship with yourself, a dynamic, evolving dialogue between your past experiences, present perceptions, and future possibilities. Our exploration will challenge you to see beyond surface-level financial tactics. We will delve into the intricate psychological mechanisms that determine your earning potential, spending habits, investment decisions, and overall financial confidence. By understanding these mechanisms, you will learn to rewire your internal programming, transforming deep-seated limiting beliefs into powerful catalysts for abundance. This journey is an invitation, a call to radical self-discovery and financial reimagination. It is designed for those who are ready to move beyond incremental improvements and seek a comprehensive transformation of their economic narrative. We will navigate the complex terrain of financial psychology, revealing how your thoughts, emotions, and unconscious beliefs create tangible economic outcomes. Prepare to embark on a journey that will fundamentally reshape your understanding of wealth, success, and personal potential. What awaits is not just knowledge, but a profound methodology for personal economic empowerment. Delving deeper into the psychological landscape of financial transformation requires us to confront a profound truth. Our subconscious mind operates like an intricate navigation system, perpetually mapping our economic trajectory through a complex network of emotional waypoints. Whilst most individuals perceive financial decisions as rational calculations, the reality is far more nuanced. Each monetary choice is fundamentally an emotional response encoded with layers of personal history and unconscious programming. Consider the remarkable phenomenon of financial archetypes, psychological profiles that silently dictate our economic behaviors. Some individuals embody the guardian archetype, characterized by extreme risk aversion and compulsive saving, creating a fortress of financial security that paradoxically prevents genuine wealth expansion. Others manifest the adventurer profile, perpetually chasing high-risk investments with an almost magnetic attraction to potential volatility, driven by an underlying need for psychological stimulation rather than genuine strategic planning. Neurologically speaking, our financial decision-making emerges from intricate interactions between the amygdala, responsible for emotional processing, and the prefrontal cortex, which manages rational analysis. This neurobiological dialogue creates a fascinating dynamic where emotional imprints can systematically override logical economic reasoning. Imagine your financial choices as a complex algorithmic dance, where past emotional experiences continuously feed into present-day monetary strategies, often without your conscious awareness. Intriguingly, recent psychological research suggests that financial trauma can be transgenerational, passed down through familial narratives and unconscious behavioral patterns. Families frequently transmit complex money scripts across generations, creating invisible economic constraints that feel immutably true. A child raised in an environment of perpetual financial scarcity might unconsciously develop survival mechanisms that limit their capacity for abundance, regardless of actual economic opportunities. Mapping these psychological terrains requires profound self-awareness and strategic introspection. By developing a sophisticated understanding of our internal financial operating system, we can begin to recalibrate deeply entrenched patterns. This isn't merely about changing behaviors. It's about reconstructing the fundamental narrative through which we interpret economic possibilities. Remarkably, emerging neuroscientific research demonstrates that deliberate, consistent mental rehearsal can physically rewire neural pathways associated with financial thinking. Just as athletes use visualization techniques to enhance performance, individuals can systematically reprogram their subconscious money narratives through targeted cognitive interventions. The brain's neuroplasticity offers an extraordinary mechanism for transforming limiting beliefs into expansive economic potential. By embracing this holistic understanding, we transition from passive economic participants to conscious architects of our financial reality, recognizing that true wealth creation is fundamentally a psychological journey of continuous learning, adaptation, and intentional transformation. Peeling back the layers of financial consciousness reveals a profound terrain where resilience and strategic adaptation converge. Consider the intricate mechanism of psychological resource allocation, a dynamic process far more sophisticated than simple budgeting or income management. Our internal economic intelligence operates like a complex adaptive system, continuously negotiating between perceived safety and potential opportunity. Psychological resource management transcends mere monetary transactions. It represents an elaborate negotiation between our deepest survival instincts and aspirational potentials. When individuals encounter financial challenges, their neural pathways activate sophisticated defense mechanisms, some protective, others potentially self-limiting. These mechanisms manifest through nuanced behavioral patterns: hypervigilant saving, reflexive risk aversion, or conversely impulsive spending as emotional compensation. Intriguingly, emotional intelligence plays a pivotal role in this intricate landscape. Individuals with heightened self-awareness can recognize and interrupt automatic financial response patterns. By developing metacognitive skills, one learns to observe their economic decision-making processes without immediate judgment, creating a critical space for intentional recalibration. Research in behavioral economics suggests that our financial narratives are frequently constructed through implicit learning, absorbing unspoken familial and cultural economic scripts that operate beneath conscious awareness. These scripts function as sophisticated psychological algorithms, silently programming our monetary relationships through generations of accumulated experience. Neurologically, financial decision-making involves complex interactions between rational analysis and emotional processing centers. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for executive functioning, constantly negotiates with limbic system responses, creating a dynamic internal dialogue that determines economic behavior. This neurological interplay explains why rational financial planning often conflicts with deeply ingrained emotional patterns. Transformative financial psychology demands a holistic approach that acknowledges these intricate systemic interactions. By developing sophisticated self-observation techniques, individuals can gradually dismantle restrictive psychological barriers. This process involves cultivating a nuanced understanding of personal economic triggers, recognizing unconscious patterns, and systematically reconstructing more empowering narratives. Crucially, this journey is not about elimination but strategic recalibration. Each financial behavioral pattern emerged as a survival mechanism, offering protection during previous life stages. Recognizing these patterns' original protective intent allows for compassionate, intelligent redesign rather than harsh self-criticism. Ultimately, mastering one's psychological economic landscape requires patient, persistent exploration. It demands curiosity, self-compassion, and a willingness to challenge deeply ingrained beliefs about personal worth, potential, and abundance. The path forward lies not in perfection but in continuous intentional growth. Navigating the labyrinth of personal economic transformation demands more than theoretical understanding. It requires precision and implementation. Practical strategies emerge not from abstract concepts, but from deliberately crafted experiential frameworks that engage both cognitive intelligence and emotional resilience. Mapping one's financial consciousness involves sophisticated diagnostic techniques beyond traditional self-assessment. Psychological profiling instruments like the Money Dynamic Inventory provide nuanced insights into unconscious economic behavioral patterns. These advanced diagnostic tools reveal intricate motivational structures that conventional financial assessments consistently overlook, uncovering deeply embedded relational dynamics with wealth generation. Experiential learning becomes paramount in rewiring economic mindsets. Targeted immersion experiences, such as controlled financial simulation workshops, allow individuals to safely explore alternative decision-making paradigms. Participants encounter carefully constructed scenarios designed to challenge ingrained response mechanisms, creating neurological pathways that support more adaptive economic thinking. Consider how micro-interventions can catalyze substantial psychological shifts. Deliberate practices like daily abundance journaling transform subconscious narratives by systematically documenting economic interactions. This methodology isn't mere positive affirmation. It represents a sophisticated cognitive recalibration mechanism. By meticulously recording financial experiences without judgment, individuals develop heightened metacognitive awareness regarding their monetary relationships. Interpersonal economic dynamics introduce another critical dimension. Group-based financial healing circles provide supportive environments where collective wisdom intersects individual transformation. Participants share complex economic narratives, recognizing shared psychological patterns while simultaneously developing unique strategic approaches. Such collaborative spaces generate powerful collective intelligence, transcending individual limitations. Neuroplasticity research illuminates remarkable possibilities for intentional psychological restructuring. Cutting-edge neurofeedback technologies now enable individuals to directly observe and modulate brain activity associated with financial decision-making. These interventions represent a quantum leap in personal economic development, offering unprecedented insights into unconscious monetary behavioral patterns. Emerging epigenetic studies suggest that transformative economic mindsets might possess transgenerational implications. Psychological adaptations developed through intentional practice could potentially modify familial economic inheritance patterns, creating profound intergenerational opportunities for wealth consciousness evolution. Sophisticated practitioners recognize that true economic empowerment emerges from holistic integration, synthesizing psychological insight, strategic learning, and embodied practice. This approach transcends traditional financial education, representing a comprehensive methodology for personal economic metamorphosis. The journey demands unwavering commitment, intellectual curiosity, and compassionate self-observation. By embracing complexity and cultivating nuanced awareness, individuals unlock extraordinary potential for economic reimagination, transforming deeply entrenched psychological constraints into dynamic pathways of abundance and possibility. Profound wealth creation transcends mere financial accumulation. It represents a sophisticated dance of strategic intention and profound self-alignment. Psychological momentum emerges through deliberate energetic calibration, where individual potential synchronizes with external economic opportunities. Imagine your financial ecosystem as a living, breathing organism constantly responding to internal signals. Quantum economic psychology reveals that consciousness itself operates as a generative mechanism, wherein subtle vibrational frequencies determine material manifestations. Individuals who master this intricate resonance develop extraordinary capacity for wealth generation, moving beyond traditional productivity models into realms of intuitive manifestation. Neurological research illuminates fascinating pathways of economic creativity. Innovative entrepreneurs demonstrate markedly different neural response patterns compared to individuals trapped in scarcity consciousness. Their brain networks exhibit heightened connectivity between imagination centers and strategic planning regions, enabling rapid opportunity recognition and adaptive execution. When confronting financial transformation, precision matters profoundly. Tactical self-development involves meticulously deconstructing inherited belief structures that unconsciously limit economic potential. By systematically identifying and recalibrating these embedded narratives, individuals unlock extraordinary reservoirs of latent capability. Interestingly, cultural conditioning plays a significant role in economic perception. Societal programming frequently instills unconscious constraints that masquerade as rational limitations. Breaking through these invisible barriers requires courageous introspection and willingness to challenge deeply normalized economic assumptions. Neuroplasticity demonstrates remarkable plasticity in wealth consciousness. Targeted mental training can physically rewire neural pathways associated with financial perception, creating new cognitive architectures that support expansive economic thinking. This represents more than metaphorical transformation. It's literal neural reconstruction enabling fundamentally different economic interactions. Advanced practitioners understand that financial evolution is fundamentally an inside-out process. External monetary strategies derive their potency from internal psychological alignment. Developing sophisticated self-awareness becomes the primary mechanism for sustainable wealth generation, transcending simplistic goal setting into holistic personal development. By embracing this nuanced perspective, individuals transition from passive economic participants to active architects of their financial reality. The journey demands persistent curiosity, strategic introspection, and commitment to continuous psychological refinement, where every insight represents another layer of potential unlocked. Navigating the intricate landscape of economic psychology demands a radical departure from conventional wisdom, particularly when examining the subtle yet profound mechanisms of individual wealth generation. Traditional financial discourse often reduces monetary success to simplistic formulae of income and expenditure, overlooking the complex emotional intelligence that truly underpins economic thriving. Herein lies a transformative perspective. Financial abundance emerges not merely through external strategies, but through nuanced internal calibration. Psychological resilience becomes the cornerstone of economic potential, wherein individuals develop sophisticated adaptive capabilities that transcend traditional skill sets. Picture your financial consciousness as a dynamic ecosystem, constantly responsive, learning, and recalibrating in real time. Empirical research increasingly validates this holistic approach. Longitudinal studies tracking high-performing entrepreneurs reveal distinctive psychological traits that distinguish them from conventional economic actors. These individuals demonstrate remarkable cognitive flexibility, an extraordinary capacity to reframe challenges as opportunities, and an almost intuitive ability to navigate uncertainty with measured composure. Intriguingly, emotional regulation emerges as a critical determinant of economic success. Individuals who can maintain psychological equilibrium during market volatilities, managing anxiety, suppressing impulsive reactions, and maintaining strategic clarity, consistently outperform their more reactive counterparts. This isn't merely about emotional suppression, but about cultivating a profound sense of internal stability that allows for measured, intelligent decision-making. Developmental psychology offers further insights into this phenomenon. Early childhood experiences profoundly shape our economic narratives, creating implicit learning patterns that persist throughout adulthood. Some individuals develop what psychologists term financial trauma responses, unconscious behavioral mechanisms triggered by past economic uncertainties. Recognizing and recalibrating these responses becomes crucial for sustainable wealth generation. Consider how unconscious protection mechanisms can paradoxically limit economic potential. An individual who experienced familial financial instability might unconsciously develop hyper-cautious economic behaviors, inadvertently restricting their capacity for strategic risk-taking. The challenge lies not in eliminating these protective mechanisms, but in consciously redesigning them to support, rather than constrain, economic growth. Advanced practitioners understand that economic mastery requires continuous psychological innovation. This involves developing sophisticated metacognitive skills, the ability to observe and strategically modify one's own thinking patterns. By cultivating this internal flexibility, individuals transform from passive economic participants to active architects of their financial landscapes. Ultimately, the journey towards economic empowerment transcends technical knowledge. It demands a holistic approach that integrates psychological insight, emotional intelligence, and strategic adaptation. Those who master this intricate dance between internal awareness and external opportunity unlock extraordinary potential for sustainable, meaningful wealth creation. Peeling back the layers of economic consciousness reveals a profound terrain where strategic adaptation meets psychological resilience. Modern high performers increasingly recognize that financial mastery demands more than technical skills. It requires sophisticated emotional navigation through complex, systemic landscapes. Consider how professional athletes approach performance. They understand that peak achievement emerges not from isolated techniques, but from holistic integration of physical, mental, and strategic capabilities. Similarly, Economic success demands a multidimensional approach that synthesizes psychological awareness, strategic intelligence, and nuanced emotional regulation. Neuroscientific research illuminates fascinating dimensions of this integrated approach. Functional magnetic resonance imaging demonstrates that individuals who maintain robust cognitive flexibility exhibit markedly different neural activation patterns during financial decision-making. Their brain networks demonstrate enhanced connectivity between regions responsible for emotional processing, strategic planning, and risk assessment, creating a sophisticated internal ecosystem capable of rapid, intelligent adaptation. Intriguingly, this adaptive capacity extends beyond individual performance. Organizational psychology reveals that teams and enterprises displaying higher collective emotional intelligence consistently outperform more technically proficient but less psychologically sophisticated counterparts. The ability to read subtle interpersonal dynamics, manage collective anxiety, and maintain strategic clarity becomes a remarkable competitive advantage. Emerging research in epigenetics suggests that these adaptive capabilities might possess transgenerational implications. Psychological patterns of economic resilience could potentially be transmitted through subtle neurological and biochemical mechanisms, challenging traditional perspectives on skill acquisition and personal development. Practical implementation requires deliberate, structured approaches. Developing this multidimensional economic intelligence involves targeted practices, systematic self-reflection, exposure to diverse perspectives, controlled risk-taking environments, and continuous learning frameworks that challenge existing cognitive boundaries. These aren't merely academic exercises, but sophisticated developmental technologies for expanding psychological and economic potential. Crucially, this journey demands radical self-honesty. Individuals must develop the courage to confront unconscious limiting beliefs, recognize deeply embedded protective mechanisms, and cultivate a compassionate yet rigorous approach to personal transformation. Economic mastery emerges not through external validation, but through profound internal alignment and continuous intentional growth. Professional coaching methodologies increasingly incorporate these insights, developing intricate assessment tools that map psychological economic profiles. These advanced diagnostic approaches move beyond traditional skills inventories, exploring the complex interplay between individual psychological predispositions and economic potential. Ultimately, this perspective represents a paradigmatic shift from viewing economic success as a technical pursuit to understanding it as a sophisticated journey of psychological integration and continuous personal evolution. By embracing this holistic approach, individuals unlock extraordinary capacities for adaptive, meaningful wealth creation. Navigating the complex terrain of financial metamorphosis demands a profound understanding of adaptive resilience, a sophisticated psychological mechanism far more nuanced than conventional resilience frameworks. Imagine your economic potential as a dynamic living organism capable of intelligent recalibration, where each challenge becomes a precise opportunity for systematic growth and transformation. Developmental economic psychology reveals that true adaptability emerges through intentional discomfort, strategically engineered experiences that systematically expand one's psychological bandwidth. Consider professional rock climbers. They deliberately construct training environments that push physiological limits, creating controlled stress scenarios that trigger exponential capability enhancement. Similarly, financial adaptability requires meticulously designed personal development architectures that challenge ingrained cognitive boundaries. Neurologically, this process involves complex recalibration of threat response mechanisms. Individuals with advanced economic adaptability demonstrate remarkable capacity to reframe uncertainty not as a potential danger, but as an informational ecosystem rich with strategic intelligence. Their neural networks exhibit heightened connectivity between emotional regulation centers and strategic planning regions, enabling rapid, nuanced interpretation of emerging economic landscapes. Intriguingly, cross-cultural research illuminates fascinating variations in adaptive economic consciousness. Nordic societies, for instance, demonstrate remarkable collective risk tolerance embedded within their cultural psychological frameworks. This isn't merely statistical variation, but represents sophisticated societal learning mechanisms that transform potential vulnerability into strategic collective resilience. Practical implementation demands deliberate, structured intervention strategies. Micro-learning experiences, brief, intense exposure to controlled economic complexity, can systematically deconstruct unconscious protective mechanisms. Imagine participating in immersive financial simulation workshops where participants navigate deliberately constructed scenario matrices, each interaction providing granular insights into personal adaptive capacities. Emerging technologies now offer unprecedented opportunities for precise psychological calibration. Artificial intelligence-driven personalized learning platforms can now generate bespoke economic challenge scenarios tailored to individual psychological profiles, creating unprecedented opportunities for targeted personal development. These aren't generic training modules, but intelligent, dynamically adjusting ecosystems of economic skill enhancement. Critical to this approach is recognizing adaptation as a holistic, embodied experience. Somatic psychology demonstrates that economic resilience isn't purely cognitive, but involves sophisticated mind-body integration. Practices like mindfulness, deliberate breathing techniques, and embodied awareness training become powerful tools for expanding psychological flexibility beyond traditional mental training paradigms. Ultimately, economic adaptability represents a profound journey of continuous reinvention, where personal potential is not a fixed state, but a dynamic, ever-evolving landscape of possibility. By embracing uncertainty as a generative force and developing sophisticated psychological technologies, individuals unlock extraordinary capacities for navigating increasingly complex economic ecosystems. Drawing these intricate psychological threads together, we find ourselves navigating a profound landscape where economic consciousness transcends mere numerical transactions. Our exploration reveals an extraordinary ecosystem of human potential, a dynamic interplay between internal psychological architecture and external economic manifestations. Like an exquisitely calibrated navigational instrument, our consciousness continuously interprets, translates, and manifests economic possibilities through remarkably nuanced mechanisms of perception and interpretation. Reflecting on this intellectual odyssey, one discerns an elegant complexity that defies simplistic linear understanding. Our economic self emerges not as a fixed entity, but as a living, breathing system of continuous adaptation and refinement. Each psychological insight represents a delicate recalibration, where unconscious patterns are gently transformed through heightened awareness and intentional intervention. The boundary between inner psychological landscape and outer economic reality becomes increasingly permeable, revealing a sophisticated dialogue of mutual emergence and co-creation. As we pivot towards deeper comprehension, a remarkable synthesis becomes apparent. Our economic potential is fundamentally an expression of consciousness itself. The intricate neural networks, emotional intelligence, and adaptive mechanisms we've explored are not discrete elements, but interconnected dimensions of a singular dynamic intelligence. Imagine this intelligence as a sophisticated resonance chamber, continuously translating subtle internal frequencies into tangible external manifestations, where thought, emotion, and strategic intention dance in elegant, generative synchronicity. Contemplating these profound insights, one recognizes that true economic mastery transcends traditional paradigms of skill acquisition or strategic planning. We are witnessing the emergence of a revolutionary understanding, where personal transformation becomes the primary mechanism of wealth generation. The journey is no longer about accumulating external resources, but about cultivating an internal ecosystem of boundless possibility, radical adaptability, and nuanced self-understanding. In light of these revelations, we stand at a remarkable threshold, a point of convergence where psychological insight, neurological understanding, and strategic intelligence merge into a holistic framework of human potential. The economic self is revealed not as a static construct, but as a living, breathing organism of extraordinary complexity and adaptive capacity. Each insight becomes a quantum leap, each moment of awareness a portal to expanded possibility. Our exploration invites a profound reimagining of economic engagement, not as a competitive pursuit, but as a collaborative dance of continuous learning and mutual transformation. The boundaries between individual and collective potential blur, revealing an interconnected landscape of shared intelligence and collective becoming. We are no longer isolated economic actors, but participants in an intricate co-creative ecosystem of boundless potential. In the profound landscape of human potential, we encounter a transformative understanding that transcends conventional economic narratives. Our journey reveals not merely a strategy for financial advancement, but a radical reimagining of personal metamorphosis, where inner psychological landscapes become the generative source of external abundance. The intricate dance between consciousness and economic manifestation emerges as a sublime choreography of intention, awareness, and adaptive intelligence. Each individual carries within them an extraordinary blueprint of possibility, waiting to be decoded, understood, and deliberately activated. This is not about manipulation or forceful control, but about cultivating a sophisticated resonance with one's inherent creative capacity. Our exploration uncovers a remarkable truth. Economic potential is fundamentally an expression of consciousness itself. The boundaries between internal psychological terrain and external financial reality dissolve, revealing an interconnected ecosystem of continuous emergence. Here, every thought, every subtle emotional frequency becomes a precise instrument of transformation, calibrating our lived experience with remarkable precision. What becomes increasingly clear is that true wealth generation is a holistic practice of radical self-discovery. It demands not just technical knowledge, but a profound commitment to understanding the intricate psychological mechanisms that shape our economic narratives. We are called to become both the observer and the architect of our financial consciousness, developing a nuanced, compassionate relationship with our deepest patterns of perception and response. The invitation, then, is not to acquire or accumulate, but to align, to develop an internal ecosystem so robust, so dynamically intelligent, that external manifestation becomes a natural, almost effortless expression of our integrated being. This represents a quantum leap beyond traditional economic paradigms, a recognition that prosperity is fundamentally an inside-out phenomenon. As we stand at this remarkable threshold of understanding, we are reminded that the true practice begins now. Each moment offers an opportunity to recalibrate, to expand, to reimagine our relationship with abundance. The journey is not about perfection, but about continuous, compassionate exploration, developing a sophisticated dialogue between our deepest aspirations and the magnificent complexity of our lived experience. Our economic self is not a fixed construct, but a living, breathing intelligence capable of extraordinary adaptation and growth. By embracing this perspective, we transform from passive participants to conscious creators, recognizing that our most profound wealth resides not in external accumulation, but in the boundless potential of an awakened, intentional consciousness.